Rationalization. This involves creating logical explanations for behaviors or feelings that are actually driven by irrational or unacceptable motives. It helps to justify actions and make them appear rational. Example: a student who fails an exam might blame the difficulty of the questions or the teaching style of the professor, rather than acknowledging their lack of preparation.
Undoing. This involves attempting to negate or reverse an unacceptable thought, action, or impulse by engaging in contrary behavior. It is a way to alleviate guilt or anxiety about past actions. Example: after having an argument with a partner and saying hurtful things, a person might bring home flowers and cook a special dinner as a way to undo the damage caused by their words. Identification. This involves adopting the characteristics, values, or attitudes of another person, often someone who is admired or seen as more powerful. It helps to bolster self-esteem and feel more secure. Example: a child who feels insecure might begin to imitate a popular peer at school, adopting their mannerisms, clothing style, and hobbies in an attempt to feel more confident and accepted.
Reaction formation. This involves behaving in a way that is directly opposite to one's unacceptable thoughts or feelings. It helps to hide true feelings by exaggerating the opposite behavior. Example: a person who is angry with a colleague might act overly friendly and complimentary towards them, masking their true feelings of anger.
Projection. This involves attributing one's own undesirable thoughts, feelings, or impulses to another person. It serves to externalize what is internally unacceptable. Example: if someone feels a strong dislike for a colleague, they might instead believe that the colleague dislikes them. This way, the uncomfortable feeling of dislike is projected onto the other person. Displacement. This involves transferring emotions from the original source of distress to a safer, substitute target. It allows the person to express feelings in a less threatening way. Example: a person who has a bad day at work and gets scolded by their boss might come home and lash out at their family members instead of confronting the boss.
Regression. This involves reverting to behaviors characteristic of an earlier stage of development when faced with stress. It is a way to retreat to a time when the person felt safer. Example: an adult experiencing significant stress might start to exhibit childlike behaviors such as thumb-sucking, excessive dependency, or tantrums. Sublimation. This involves channeling unacceptable impulses into socially acceptable or constructive activities. It transforms negative emotions or instincts into positive actions. Example: a person with aggressive tendencies might take up a sport like boxing or become a soldier, where their aggression can be expressed in a controlled and acceptable manner.
Intellectualization. This involves focusing on the intellectual aspects of a situation to avoid dealing with the emotional components. It allows the person to distance themselves from the anxiety-provoking feelings. Example: after a loved one passes away, an individual might focus on planning the funeral details and understanding the biological reasons for death rather than confronting their grief. Suppression. This involves the conscious decision to delay paying attention to a thought, emotion, or need in order to cope with the present reality. Unlike repression, suppression is a conscious act. Example: a person who is upset about a recent breakup might choose to suppress their feelings of sadness and focus on work or other activities to keep themselves occupied and avoid dealing with the pain immediately.
Denial. This involves refusing to accept the reality of a painful or stressful situation, acting as if it does not exist. It is a way to protect oneself from emotional distress by blocking out reality. Example: a person who has received a serious medical diagnosis might act as though nothing is wrong and continue with their life without making any changes or seeking treatment. They deny the severity of their condition to avoid the anxiety it brings. Repression. This is the unconscious blocking of unacceptable thoughts, feelings, or impulses. The repressed material is pushed out of conscious awareness, but it can still influence behavior and emotions. Example: a person who experienced a traumatic event in childhood may have no conscious memory of the event, but might feel inexplicable anxiety or fear in certain situations that remind them of the trauma.